Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to TimetoPlay.com's Empower Half Hour, where each week one of the amazing professionals from our TimetoPlay.com website provides discussion and tips on how we can enjoy life. My name is Doreen Guma. I'm a small business owner, a wife, the mother of 3 children. My oldest is 20, and I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. I started Time to Play as my quest for quality of life and figured I'd take 1 million people with me because I know there are 1 million people out there who need to enjoy life. Today's professional resource is Helen Keat, a real estate professional with so many certifications you would never know that was even available, so it's pretty neat. Helen is a professional resource on Time to Play under Money. She writes a monthly article on Time to Play that you can read, and what's really cool, I was going to mention this in a little bit, but she just started writing a column for the Queen's Courier, too, so that's pretty neat. She's a very knowledgeable woman. Before we start with Helen, good morning, Helen, by the way. Say hi.
Hi, good morning.
I just wanted to talk about something that I had saw and reposted on Facebook. It was a quote: "You may think the grass is greener on the other side, but if you take the time to water your own grass, it would be just as green." And that is really the true vision of Time to Play, because the Time to Play philosophy is you have to be happy, healthy, have money, and a work-life balance. And it's wonderful to have problems. It's wonderful to identify issues in ourselves, in society, but really we have to fix them. We have to say, oh, my gosh, I'm not happy, or, oh, I feel sad, or whatever is the situation, and have a resource in order to help us to get on track, because we're here to enjoy life. And that's what Time to Play is, resources for a better life. But it's more than that. I want to just throw out the little pilgrim philosophy, and not that anybody should think I'm kind of crazy, but truly think about the way that the pilgrims were when we started in America. Not that we should kind of go back to that, but everybody had a function. They were here, they made a settlement, their purpose was to survive. They worked together, they had places to live, they had a function, they had a job. If you needed a barn, everybody came together and they built the barn. And that's the true Time to Play philosophy. Have these amazing people, these professionals, they've given their time, and they're providing us with things, and then we also, every single one of us, have something to give that can help someone else have a better life. With so many people being so socially isolated today, people feeling like they're alone to muddle through, if we adopted a little of this pilgrim philosophy, this people helping people philosophy, maybe we'd all have a better life. Working together as a team, that's what Time to Play is. And remember the 20-year-old I talked about, my son Gregory? Well, that's another reason I started this. I figured, you know how hard it was when we started out and we thought it was so hard? Just think of how hard it's going to be for our kids. And I know I can't leave this world without at least trying to make things better so he can have a good life too. And we really need to work together. So please spread the word about TimetoPlay.com, and let's get that team going. Okay, so here's Helen's bio. All right, you guys, hold on to your seats here. Helen is an accomplished and forward-thinking. It's unbelievable. Like I said, she's got more certifications than anybody I think I've ever met. She's an accomplished and forward-thinking businesswoman with a 31-year career in real estate. She's ranked in the top tier among Queens real estate agents. She's helped hundreds of families move, including many employees for dozens of the country's top corporations. She's been responsible for the sale of over 1,000 properties during the past 10 years alone. She's not only a licensed realtor and broker, but a default management specialist in eviction, and it's called the OREREO. She's a certified senior advisor, a senior real estate specialist, a certified relocation professional, a certified luxury home marketing specialist. She's got more information in her, and the best is her network that she's developed, and we'll talk about that. All right, so if you want her contact info, it is on the Time to Play site on her page, but I'll give you her phone number, and then we'll give it again at the end, 800-742-0126, and her website is Keit Team, K-E-I-T team.com. Okay, so some things that I'm sure people are dying to know. Is this the right time to buy a house?
Oh, yes, that's the question everybody does want to know, Doreen. What I would tell you is yes, and that's with the qualification that, of course, people feel confident in their job situation. Right now, you're probably hearing conflicting numbers on housing. Case-Shiller is out. That's the major tracking service, saying home prices are down, things are down. Well, that's the end of December, and it averages in the past 3 months from there, so October, November, December for closed sales. But that goes back to contracts put into play. There's always a lag between contract and closing, so it's looking at really the July, August numbers. So those were down for closings. But very good news, and real estate is a local business here on the island, Queens and Long Island. This is right off of Long Island Board of Realtors, MLS. Our contracts for December 2011 were up 5.2%, higher than December of 2010, yeah. So that shows, and what we as realtors know, that there are some very good buyers out there. They're taking advantage of what's the best time ever as far as interest rates, the best interest rates ever, okay, to buy a home. They're averaging 4% or under right now.
For a 30-year, is that what you would recommend for a 30-year? Yeah.
30-year. Just to give you an idea, we just helped a young couple buy their first home, and they were able to get a 30-year fixed $416,000 loan at 3.875.
Wow.
That translates into monthly payments, not including their taxes and insurance costs, monthly payments of $1,900 a month. They were paying a rent of $2,000 a month.
Sure.
So that just kind of shows you, how those numbers can go into play. And of course, the interest rates will go up in the future. Right now, they're expecting they might go up to 4.5 by the end of this year, but that's still a really good.
You don't see that happening really rapidly, like the interest rates changing in a near future.
The government's trying to keep things pretty level, but I will say each 0.5%, it adds. It's like turning the spigot. It makes qualifying a little tougher. So these 4%, rates are really good, and of course that's for those whose credit are the best. I would tell buyers to really take a look at their credit situation. If they need repair help, there's great free government sources to help you do that.
That's really great. Now, just as a question, so this couple bought their house. What was the value of that house prior to right now, approximately, if you have that as a reference?
I would tell you, I don't have on that particular house, but in general, I think everybody needs to realize that prices are down from their highs, probably on an average 25%, okay, 23, 25%, something like that. So, and each spot has its own little, across the United States, we're seeing, certainly prices way off in Florida and Arizona and Michigan, California, and they're hit bottom and starting to rebound. We didn't go to that kind of a correction, but I think even the National Association of Realtors came out last month saying, whoops, they made a little mistake, that prices were actually off 40% instead of 30%.
Wow.
So we're coming off really big adjustments, but that makes the affordability index really good for buyers, meaning it has never been this good for a long time, this combination of lower prices and terrific interest rates. So, again, for those who feel confident in their job situation, their finances, it's a great time to buy.
Now, question about the rebounding prices. Do you see that happening in a short term? Is it something that, like you project? I mean, of course, there's no guarantees for any of this. It's really very much projections and, statistical reviews and what the market's done in the past and whatnot. But, is there a window of opportunity here where if you if it's between 25 and 40% down, let's say, do you suggest moving? I know you had suggested January, February being a great time to sell a house because of the lower, houses that are on the market in your article. But like for buying a house, do you expect like 6 months is the better window, or is it not really something in the foreseeable future that's going to be an issue?
You mean as far as prices appreciating?
To take advantage of the down situation.
Okay. I think probably, I think surveying most, sources across the United States would probably tell you, you want to look at the economists. They're projecting really, the United States is still going to have very sluggish economic growth and job growth, and that all translates into this picture. They're expecting at probably best that real estate would appreciate maybe 2% this year, 3% next year, 4% the next year. That just came off a segment from Money Magazine on the Today Show yesterday. So, this kind of growth is going to be what's projected. Basically slow. We hope to have hit bottom or fairly soon hit bottom. No more, prices dropping. But we will probably track pretty low in growth. We're not going to go back to the way it was. Those were bubble years when everybody could get a mortgage. And then everybody was buying, knew that prices would always go up. There wasn't enough product, not enough homes to buy, and it drove those prices up. Everything has certainly been corrected, and banks are very, strict now on what they're doing, and everybody's trying to live within their budget and buy accordingly. So, prices are going to come off these lows, but they're not going to have any major appreciation. So that's where a lot of our sellers also want to look at what are their plans. Are we going back to those high prices? Probably not for a long time. So being realistic about what your home is worth and, getting sort of a certified market appraisal or a broker price opinion, these kind of things are going to show you what has recently sold in the last several months. And that's what lenders are looking at, too, when they approve a loan for a new buyer. So it's best to have your expectations, in a very realistic mode and, really look at your family goals and where you want to be in the next several years.
Very good to know. Now, just a question. We were briefly talking about this. You live in a house 20 years, 30 years, and we had this discussion briefly about staging a house and the proper way of staging a house if you are planning on selling. But how about a person who's not looking to sell for 5 years, 10 years? Let's say you want to redo your kitchen or your bathroom. Is that something that you would consider something that's still worthwhile to do? Is that something that you would consider that money will never be recouped? Is it worthwhile to do a kitchen renovation or some big renovation in your current home?
Well, I always go to, which is what we're all about, is enjoying our lives. So I always say first, you want to consider what's best for your family, and you want to enjoy it. When you're planning on living in your home for, a number of years, 5, 10 years, that's a long time. So you really want to enjoy it, and you want to do the things that, make sense for your family and certainly within your budget. I would always consider, a resale value on things. Kitchens and baths are always the best thing to do. That's what buyers are looking at. However, if you're putting in really unique features that might not appeal to everybody, you might want to think twice about that.
That's good advice.
There's always going to be a time. You never know when you have to sell. Who knows? It could be a job, a health situation, whatever it is. So I remember when we were looking for a house years and years ago, the man was painting his first floor like a fuchsia color, really an odd color. I almost couldn't believe what I was looking at, but he liked it, but it didn't translate for anyone. It was really a turn-off. So that's a simple thing, but I'm just saying try and keep things with a view to certainly what would make sense if you had to resell. But always go for the fact that you're going to enjoy it for your family. All improvements don't necessarily translate into a dollar-for-dollar recoup. And in this new real estate world, a lot of times it doesn't. So you want to keep the expense comparable to what your neighborhood home values would gain. If you're in a particular development where you know that houses are only going to sell for a certain amount, and you just put in a $75,000 kitchen, that's way above what could ever make sense in this, resale of these homes. You might want to think twice about that.
That completely makes sense, and I appreciate the fuchsia discussions because you ever watch those TV shows and the people walk in and the first thing is really aesthetics. They don't look at the potential of the house. They look at, oh my gosh, this is the ugliest color. I mean, and that's crazy, but I guess you look at it as a move-in, like that person can actually just take their couch and plunk it in your living room and they can just settle into that, and that's something, I guess, to consider when you're doing the design. So we don't have a ton of time. I have so much stuff on my list. I want to kind of talk about one of your specialty areas, which is senior relocation. Oh, and really quick, we did get a question that somebody had sent in. We keep hearing that is expensive living here on Long Island. It doesn't mean houses that have been owned for decades are being sold more frequently, and are these people moving off of Long Island? If not, then where to? Which does kind of lead into this senior relocation issue that I would like to bring up. Do you see the houses that are owned for decades being sold more frequently? Is it new construction, which I don't think is as prevalent right now, right?
No, I think what you're watching is just the natural, aging of homeowners, and they're reaching a point, they've retired or they have certain health issues, whatever it is, but they're looking at sizing down or, that typical where a lot of people would think it's time to move to Florida or the Carolinas, that sort of thing, maybe an easier lifestyle. Maybe they don't need to be here for the job, whatever it is. But there's a lot of different issues, and, it's typical, I think, everywhere. You live in a house for a number of years, and then you would want a different style and easier type of living for yourself. Maybe the family, you're now empty nest, a lot of different situations. So we certainly, over the years, I'm a certified relocation professional. I've moved corporate personnel for years for some of the top companies, like Doreen said, but with that, a lot of times the issues came to me from children of their aging parents. What do we do now? The house is too big. How do we size down? What would be the option? So I developed a whole other area of expertise to help solve these problems, just bringing in other professionals who help seniors, whether it's people who manage assisted livings or a geriatric care manager to help evaluate what would be the next best living situation here. A lot of different resources, elder law attorneys who help with planning. A lot of times it might even be people who help adapt the home so it's safer for the senior and the family to live there. So a lot of different options, a lot of different problems. So you want to look at each solution individually.
Right, and sometimes I know, like in the situation with my mother and father-in-law, their mortgage is paid off, and they do have their taxes, and that is maybe less expensive than living in an apartment situation, which is important to consider for finances and making that money last as a person's retired. But having your house adapted is a very good alternative, and that's great to bring that up. For a person who might need wider doorways or things in order so that they can get around. What exactly is a senior real estate specialist that you are certified as?
Okay, a senior real estate specialist comes through an affiliation with the National Association of Realtors, and it means that agents have gone through an extra level of training to become more familiar with the issues facing seniors, and certainly how to help them with this myriad of problems that come at this sensitive time in their lives. As in addition to that, I became a certified senior advisor, which is a top umbrella group that trains and has a ethics review board for all professionals who work with seniors, meaning social workers, attorneys, financial professionals. So that really gave us a more in-depth view on the health, social, and financial issues facing seniors. So I'm never going to overstep my bounds as the real estate expert, but I know when to suggest or refer, or maybe we need to, look at, you should see maybe an elder law attorney who might help you with planning issues, a geriatric care manager who might suggest living alternatives or care situations and help manage this process, you see.
It's a good thing to help a family because it is a very stressful time when people are not knowing what the next step is, and that's fabulous that you do have those resources. I know you told me a story the other day about a family that you were able to refer to an organization that was able to help them as well. So definitely Helen is certainly able to evaluate a specific situation. She's above and beyond what a regular real estate professional is, and especially after 31 years in the business, and certainly pretty darn impressive.
Thank you. I realize, everyone has problems, and certainly the way your site is catering to, really helping people to be better able to solve these problems and enjoy their life. That's certainly my philosophy. And over the years, it's become all about the service, and the problems have gotten more complex for families. So it's really helped make things less stressful, really help people when they don't know what the resources are.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that very much. I've worked in healthcare since 1987, and, pretty much people run on crisis. TimetoPlay's goal is to be a little proactive. Don't go into crisis. Kind of fix it first. So I appreciate your knowledge base. I want to spend 2 or 3 minutes on things that people might also need regarding foreclosure help or short sales, what the difference between those two are, and also about loan modifications that you can actually reduce monthly payments, or things that have evolved or developed through our government to help bail out homeowners and maybe help them avoid losing their homes. Mm-hmm. I just want to throw out there that you are a certified distressed property expert. Like I said, there's more certifications. It's so amazing to me. So you want to
over
go
the
into
years,
that a
I've
little
realized,
bit?
It's important not only to, be able to provide information, but become really, experts and, just better at what we're doing.
The things that are in what's happening to the people. Sure, you have to be able to take care of them. I appreciate that. So what could you advise?
Mm-hmm.
What could you advise as far as what's the difference between a foreclosure or a short sale, and hopefully before you even get to there, what types of programs are out there that maybe people can hope to save their home with?
That's perfect. Actually, in today's Wall Street Journal, big article, Obama sinks refinancing aid to lift housing. And this, they've had a lot of attempts, the government, over the last 3 years. It's, these are daunting problems that were created with values and mortgages and the whole subprime mess. But in today's paper, it talks about how they really aren't as part of his speech. I mean, there are things he'll be able to do without congressional approval that will probably get through faster. But bottom line is probably by spring, in the next couple of months, you're going to start to see these initiatives come through, and they're looking to help people qualify to refinance at these lower rates and move their loan into a government-backed loan. Okay, so what they want to be sure is that people, and the way to get this will probably involve making sure that people have been current on their last 6 months' payments, okay?
Really?
So you don't
That's
want to not pay the mortgage. And really they're going to, even if people are underwater on their home, meaning the mortgage is higher than the home value, they're going to look to provide solutions for this. Hopefully it will work this time. I really think that it will. They're going to really, bring in some of the banks to really get them behind this, and this will be a real help. The other way you look at it is that banks usually want 20% equity. in your home to refinance. So for those people who certainly want to stay in their home and one of these programs won't work, the goal would be to really invest in your home. As you get savings together, put it together to try and reach that level so that banks will let you refinance and take advantage of these low interest rates, certainly if you have a much higher rate right now. And even look at a 15 to 20-year mortgage versus a 30, which would save you thousands of dollars in interest. So, there are a lot of, So I think there's going to be really good help coming out here in the spring. Like I say, things that will also be able to be implemented more quickly. That's what I'm reading here. You can all read this article today. That won't always involve, congressional approval, which gets sticky. So that would be a big help. So there are millions of homeowners in this problem.
Sure, and that is actually a win-win, because if you owe $500,000 to the bank and you're not going to pay because the house is only worth $400,000, they're losing a lot of money. So versus you just not paying, if they give you a different program so that you can continue to pay and not default, it's going to save everybody in the end. So that's pretty darn worthwhile.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want me to? I'll just tell you briefly the difference between a foreclosure and a short sale. It's not a full description, but
go ahead.
A foreclosure, you're not paying. The bank takes back the home. It affects your credit. Short sale, this is real simple. Short sale, the market value today is less than when you bought it, and usually the mortgage is much higher than the market value today. So the bank agrees to take a payoff less than they're owed, okay? And it allows a homeowner to move forward. There might be some effect on your credit. I'm not saying there isn't. And I always say talk to your attorney on this, because we're in New York. In New York State, we use attorneys, and they provide valuable guidance. So always do that. And it will allow you to move forward. So you want to consider all the options. I would say if you're sitting in a difficult situation right now, you always want to remain optimistic, but you want to be realistic, and you want to look at, what's your hope to move forward. Say you're in a situation, a job situation is not improving for you. You might want to look at a short sale and look at renting for a while. Thousands and thousands of homeowners have gone on to rent to be able to get themselves in a better financial state. It doesn't mean you'll never be able to go back and buy. Of course you will. But for the time being, till you get back on your feet, till you feel comfortable, renting is a fabulous solution. A lot of people are doing it. You want to look at the lesser impact on your credit. So, again, I would look for guidance from attorneys, experts in the field, and really get good advice. But no, there are options on everything. So
absolutely. Well, there's a solution to every problem. You just have to find the right professional.
Exactly.
So I just want to throw out there really quick, again, Helen's number is 800-742-0126, and it's KEITTEAM.com. You can find that information on her page on TimetoPlay. And every professional, including Helen, you can ask them a question. Just use the link from their page or go to the forum for a direct link to them. There's no cost to ask any of these amazing people a question. Also, if you feel that this was worthwhile information, please do pass along the information that, you can send the link over and your friends can listen to anytime. And I'm proud of the information we are putting together to help people have a better quality of life. I want to thank Helen very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
The podcast schedule is on TimetoPlay.com. Just go to the podcast so you could see what's coming up and all the ones that we did. And I guess that's about it. And I hope you have a wonderful day and good luck out there in the tough times. But we'll all get through together, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen.